I could have saved myself so much trouble by releasing this a month ago. I got distracted. I was trying to figure out what I was even going to do for a video. I also just wanted to do this because it seemed like fun. So I watched Sabrina the Animated Series. A show about a young witch based on the Archie comics in 1962. Sabrina Spellman, a teenage girl with an extroverted personality that uses her magic to aid in her everyday life, whether that be for good or bad, with the help of her family and friends. I remember watching the show when I was younger, before going to school, and watching the other versions like the original 90s show and the newer remakes like Chilling Tales of Sabrina. The first technical show of Sabrina is in the 70s that resembles more of the comics. The show opening with 3 witches that lived in Riverdale, and apparently Sabrina was created by Hilda and Zelda in this version. Kind of like a Powerpuff Girls situation. And since Sabrina came from the Archie comics, she would be hanging out with her friends from Riverdale High. The 90s show, in my opinion, is what popularized the Sabrina franchise and brought it to the mainstream. Sabrina Spellman is a teenager with magical powers who comes from a long line of witches. She lived with her wacky aunts who would teach her to use her witchcraft wisely, and Salem, the talking black cat who always has a scheme of his own. The chilling adventures of Sabrina. I really liked this show when it came out. I liked the darker elements of the show. It made it more compelling and interesting to watch, with the Dark Coven, Satanism, and bigger enemies to fight. And I think this is the only show that shows her in the School of Magic and also go to school with Harvey and her friend Raz and Theo. This was the only show that I finished personally. I didn't fully watch the other previous shows, including the animated series. I wasn't even aware for the 70s version. So, I took the time and went back to watch the show and give my thoughts on a spin-off series and see how strong it holds up in the franchise of Sabrina. The show was developed by Savage Steve Holland and Heartbreak Films with Dick Entertainment that was owned by Disney at the time. This show is just supposed to be a spin-off of the 90s show, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and since it was produced by Dick Entertainment during the time it was owned by Disney, it mostly ran on ABC's One Saturday Morning and its weekday afternoon counterpart, 1-2, on UPN. It was treated like it was a show by Disney as the company's actual productions. The reruns on Toon Disney place it in the same primetime block as Disney cartoons like The House of Mouse and Aladdin the series. The show lasted from September 1999 to February 2000 with a total of 65 episodes. Looking up things about the show, people knew that it was not going to follow the continuity of the 90s show, and it actually contradicts a lot of the things that we already know about Sabrina. In the 90s show, and in the 70s show, she is around 16 or 17, but in an episode they established that she is 12 years old.
To shopping heaven, I can't wait! Now, I want us to stick to the plan. If you kids get lost...
Kids? And Zelda, I'm like 2 days away from being 13. Okay, so I'm 11 and a half months and 2 days away.
But they did say that Harvey was 13 in one episode, and then in a later episode they said that he was 12 again. And they said the same thing with on Hilda and Zelda.
You get it? Enchantress our so-called parole officer. If she's not impressed by what she sees, Hilda and I could get sentenced to another century in these teenage bodies.
So, you want her to think that you and Hilda have learned a valuable lesson about not abusing your magic and would never think again of using your magic recklessly.
Exactly.
This confused me while watching because they are adults that Uncle Quigley refers to as teenagers. And even Jim Stone, who was supposed to be like Libby from Sabrina the Teenage Witch, the kind of bully character. And though some of these were different from the source material, I think that there are some interesting qualities to these changes, such as me wondering what her aunts did to be trapped as teenagers, because they never mentioned what they did in the show. And in the 90s version, I know that Salem was more of a puppet that would move its head around, so it was nice for the show to be animated to give Salem much more mobility. As for the voices of our characters, Emily Hart voices Sabrina Spellman, the little sister of Melissa Joan Hart, who did play Sabrina the Teenage Witch in a 90s show. Salem is voiced by Nicholas Bakay, who also played Salem in the 90s show. Aunt Hilda and Zelda are voiced by Melissa Joan Hart, which I discovered after watching the show. Uncle Quigley is voiced by Jay Brezu, I don't know how you pronounce that, and Bill Switzer voices Harvey Kinkle. They also have other characters like Jim Stone, voiced by Chantel Strand, who also voices Pi, the smart friend of Harvey, and Chloe is voiced by Cree Summer. As I mentioned before, I watched the episodes of the animated series, but I'm just here to talk about the thing as a whole and the impact of this comfort show of my childhood. So most of the episodes go through Sabrina using her magic to help the people around her, only for it to backfire on her in the end. At the end of every episode, they recap the lesson that they learned, only for it to not matter in the next episode. A basic plot would be Harvey can't do something, gets upset, and Sabrina uses her magic from the spooky jar, or Salem, to use on Harvey. It goes wrong and she tries to undo it. Majority of the episode operates like that, with her family sometimes coming in to aid or be the problem that needs solving. Some adventures are more high stakes than others, like episode 30, Planet of the Dogs, mostly because I think it is the only episode where the family was kidnapped, and they imply that the dogs that kidnapped them beat the shit out of Salem to the point where he was scared of the dogs.
I'm feeling fragile at the moment.
What happened to you?
It's Alvin! He's gone mad! I just barely escaped. He kidnapped Hilda and Zelda and Quigley.
Who also tried to drown him.
Good boy, Alvin. You saved Salem.
Saved me? He tried to drown me.
Or another example is episode 38, Harvzilla, where Sabrina turns Harvey into a monster that destroys the city. But my favorite episodes have to be the ones that have Jim in it as the center with Sabrina. Like episode 35, Stone Broke.
Can't hang with a loser. You understand.
Huh? Don't feel bad, Jem. They're just shallow, superficial snobs.
I know. And I want to be one of them.
In episode 39, When in Rome.
We also have potato chips that come in a can.
Bow down, Ancient One. I am your new princess. Bow to the light.
I love the relationship that they have. I think that they work really well off each other, and I find it to be entertaining. She's the only character that I have seen that also has a new outfit every episode. Kinda iconic. She even has a little manservant, Bernard.
Careful, Bernard. If you chip my barbell set, it's coming out of your paycheck.
Wait, she pays him? How generous of her. The show also has a movie called Sabrina Friends Forever that I didn't know about, that was apparently supposed to be a pilot for Sabrina's Secret Life, which is a follow-up to the first series.
I'm Sabrina, and I'm a witch. More or less, give or take. Sometimes I don't know what I am.
They include the original characters, but since Dick no longer worked with Disney, the voices for the original did not return.
Our little Sabrina, 13 years old!
So, we gonna get to the gifts before she hits 14?
In this movie, she is in high school, which contradicts the original show, but she can now attend magic school, and where she finds her new rival.
Excuse me.
I don't like her. She's such a downgrade from Jim. Her new friend, who I noticed when I look her up, they say that Chloe, her old friend, moves away. And as far as I know, she is the only character that Sabrina told her secret to. There is a lot that I remember from the show going back and watching it, and I wrote a full 18 pages about the episodes and what happened. But this video is just to briefly talk about the show as a whole and how it came to be. But let me know if you want me to go over the episodes or talk about Sabrina's secret life.
Sabrina, Secrets of a Teenage Witch. Saturday at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific.
Only on the Hub Network.
It's good to be the kitty.
Oh, I forgot about that one.